1/2 inch seam allowance. I usually start at the waist. Is there a hard and fast rule about that? Not really. Do we want to pin it? Sure. Yeah. If you need to.
If you do that
Does
sort of
Perla
thing.
need to?
No.
And then you should see a hip notch for front and back. Make sure that notch matches to the notch. And if you do need a pin,
Throw it on the floor.
Always.
pin it right there. And then when you pin, always pin so that the pin is at right angle to the needle, to the seam, so that in case you end up running over it, your needle doesn't break. If it was in this direction, it could break your needle. And once you have taken that pin out, I try not to keep too many pins around me. You can always go back and make sure everything is lined up. Try to work with as less pinning as possible because it's a habit that you will develop. Because sometimes pinning fabric and taking out pins turns out to be like a huge part of the project. But make sure your edges are all lined up all the time when you're sewing. What do we do here?
Backstitch.
Backstitch.
Now, backstitch is called backstitch all the time, right?
No, sometimes it's called reverse stitching. So there could be some instructions where it's not called backstitching, it could be called
Reverse stitch.
yeah. Because what is this called?
What's what called?
Huh, a simple seam? I don't know.
Plain
Oh.
seam.
Reverse
She
lever.
said.
This is called
The
reverse
lever?
Oh, that.
I didn't. I apologize. I didn't know what you were referencing.
Yeah.
Well, of course, this is plain seam.
Well, she's part telepathic. We should have just been on it. I'm gonna be sad when I don't have any classes with you, Carla.
Well, if you think that's gonna bring you an A grade, that's not gonna work, you know. You still have to. And then what really helps is not to keep cutting your string all the time. Stop right there without cutting. Try to see how you can actually go into, like without cutting the string, because then I have to pull the thread, and many times it keeps coming off. So then you have to keep threading it. And this is the front. We have the stay stitching and darts done already, as well as for the back. So the same thing we're going to repeat. Make sure you're sewing the right side to the right side. How much seam allowance we have here?
Half inch.
1/2 inch. So do one side first. Lining fabric is a little bit slippery, so you can pin that. For this length of a seam, do not use more than 3 pins though. So that's one side. The second side seam on the lining. Did you see how easy it is to just keep running your fabric without cutting string? Okay, so what happens when your fabric hangs low like this?
I'm gonna sew it together.
Pulls it.
It pulls it. Do you see how much pull it has? So never let your fabric hang. from the table like this. Always have your fabric on the table. Do you see the difference? And if I do see your fabric hanging from your sewing machine table, I'm gonna yell at you.
Shit, you're gonna pop us with those little clear plastic rollers.
Wooden rollers, big heavy ones.
So you have to go get the big one.
Okay, so here's the deal. Every single time I see somebody doing things differently, not in a good way, like
In a bad way.
bad way, there's gonna be a pop-up quiz.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's rude.
Or just that much.
So we gotta be like,
So we have lining all together. What are we gonna do from here? We're gonna press open. We have side seams on the skirt. What are we gonna do from here? We have already pressed open our center back seam. We're gonna press open the side seams. This is done. I already have the overlocking done on facing pieces as well. So, you see the curve side? That's the side seam. Side seam. How much seam allowance?
Half an inch.
Half an inch. So after the zipper and center back seam is done, which we did after we did the darts.
You said half an inch.
Can we finish this by Monday morning?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
And press open the seam allowances? Yeah?
Where's the rest of that?
So when we come back on Monday, we're going to sew the facing to the lining and facing to the shell and do the hem and we're done.
Woot.